Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday, June 16th, 2020. How the hell's everyone doing tonight? We are here tonight to talk everything and anything Halloween Kills. I was actually going to choose a different topic for tonight because, sometimes we've done the big three to death, and then I kind of looked at the date and was like, oh, shit, it's June 16th. That means we are 4 months away from Halloween Kills, we hope. Obviously, there's been a lot of rumblings on the internet lately. We'll get into all that, what we can believe, what we shouldn't believe, and kind of go from there. But I really just kind of want to throw it up to you guys in the chat room today. There's obviously a lot of topics we can cover, whether it's the trailer, returning characters, Michael escaping, there's all kinds of different things that we can talk about. So I really just kind of want to throw it up to you guys, and let's get into what's on your mind. I'm sure we're going to get a ton of questions on, the trailer and VOD possibly, and things that Blum has said and different rumors you guys have read and shit like that. So let's see what's going on here. John Bruce, of course, where's the trailer from these Lion MFers? John, I was waiting for this question right away. Here's my advice to everyone waiting for the trailer, myself included, and the advice is going to be, we all just need to relax a little bit. Everything I've been reading, seeing people claiming, a trailer's coming out this week, a trailer's coming out, in 2 weeks, blah, 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 and it's just like, we don't know. Anyone that claims to know when the trailer is coming is a liar. There's this one guy on Twitter I saw who's, claiming that the trailer is coming out this Friday. He's just telling everyone, and he's saying, I was right 2 years ago, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter if he's right 2 years ago. It doesn't even matter if he's right this year. He is not accurate right now because there's no way anyone knows. The only ones that would know would be Blum, Ryan Turek, and anyone working for Blumhouse. Those are the only people, or maybe Universal. Those are the only people that would know. So anyone claiming to know anything you read is wrong. There's a lot of articles out there that's just clickbait. They're taking Blum's quote and twisting it around. And then you got people retweeting shit and reposting shit, and it's getting a little bit ridiculous. Where you don't really know what to believe anymore. So I guess we all just kind of got to buckle up and, get ready for whenever we're going to see it. My guess would be, and this is purely a guess, I'm not going to be one of those people that's saying, this is how it should happen, blah, blah, blah. My guess would be we will get a poster very soon and then a trailer a few weeks after that, if they have decided to move forward with the movie in October in any form. And that's a big if right now, because I think a couple weeks ago, I probably would have said there's maybe 60-75% chance of the movie being released in October. I'm probably down to about 50-50 right now, but I'm hopeful. We're not under 50% yet, in my opinion, but I really, really hope that it happens. And I just think it's kind of do or die time now for the studio. They need to make a decision. I'm sure they've done the math as far as what a VOD release would look like and what they would need to make to break a certain profit. They've been crunching the numbers, for months on this, kind of making a decision. And I think they're just trying to hold out as long as they possibly can to make a decision. And once they kind of make that final decision, whether it's, coming out in October VOD or coming out in October in the theaters as normal, or being delayed, once they make that decision that it's coming out this October, hopefully, then they'll release a poster, I think. But I think they're kind of ready to go. They're just waiting to see what's going on in the world, and they're just kind of waiting to the last minute here. So I'm right with you guys. I want it to. I'm hoping they don't spoil too much in the trailer, but I'm really hoping we see it soon. But don't believe the shit you're reading online, because unless it's Jason Blum or Ryan Turek saying it, it's just people guessing or trying to get you to subscribe or trying to get you to follow them. or just looking for some kind of argument. So don't believe those idiots. Not that they're all idiots, I post some shit too that, some speculations, but anyone that's, arguing with you back and forth, don't waste your time with that. All right, let's see what else we got going. Here we go. Poppy129. I wonder if Officer Hunt will be a returning character from Halloween 2. Officer Hunt. I loved Officer Hunt in Halloween 2. Gary Hunt, I think his name was. I doubt we'll see him, although they could. But I doubt we'll see him. Even if we did see him, it won't be the same exact character because Halloween 2 doesn't exist. But I'd be down for a cameo or some type of like Easter egg like that. I really did enjoy his character. And it was even because of him that that Loomis had the lighter that he was able to blow Michael up. Let's see, Tommy Craig. I hope I don't have the same problem that I had with 2018. Well, tell me, what was your problem with 2018? I had a few different problems with 2018. Mostly the lack of suspense. That would probably be my number one, and maybe no stalking and chase scenes. That'd probably be my number one problem with 2018. But as far as Halloween sequels go, I think most of us can agree that it's certainly better than like Halloween 5 and Resurrection. And it's probably, if it's not in the middle of the franchise, it's definitely towards the upper half, if not in the top 3, 4, or 5 there. But yeah, you're right. I had some problems too with it. I'm curious what your problems were. Let's see, Master of Fear. Is there going to be any spoilers in the stream or mentions from the trailer? Because I haven't watched the trailer because I want to go into the movie completely blank. Well, you are in luck, Master of Fear, because they haven't released a trailer yet. As far as spoilers go, the only spoilers we'll talk about tonight are things that are readily known. Things that like the returning characters, they've all been announced already. So that'll pretty much be the only spoilers going on. Good question, though. Let's see. Paul Ames, my brother works at Blumhouse. Really? When's the trailer? Ask him when the trailer's coming out, Paul. Let's see here. Sorry, guys. Just going through the chat right now, and then we will get into some of my topics here. Let's see. The Shape 78. As opposed to H18, where the Shape was content going door-to-door killing, do you think in Halloween Kills the Shape will be pissed off and out for revenge on Laurie and company? Excellent question, Shape. I think we're going to get a combination of both. The door-to-door killing in H18 was really cool. Obviously, they have the famous tracking shot, where he walks and picks up the hammer and, like you said, goes door to door. And you see him, going in one house, killing someone, and then we see outside the window, he goes up from behind the one lady as she's looking out the window and like stabs her in the back of the neck. Pretty cool scene. My issue with that tracking shot was it kind of let us into Michael's process. You see him walking, and you see him visibly thinking about picking up the hammer. I personally don't want to see that. I just kind of want to see him there and gone, when Annie's on the phone in the original Halloween. But it was a cool shot, and I know they kind of did a similar thing in Halloween 2 1981 when he killed I can't remember the chick's name at the beginning. Can't remember her name, but you know what I'm talking about at the beginning of Halloween 2. But will we see him out for revenge? I think so. I think they're going to try to mix it up a little bit. I think they want to keep it ambiguous where Michael is just, killing random people, because I think they heard the complaints from some of the fans of the sequels about motive and shit like that, and that's why they get rid of the brother-sister angle. But this is a little different now because, like you said, he may be out for revenge. So I think they're going to show him going door to door a little bit, if not door to door, something like that. But I think he's going to be pissed off, and I think we're going to see kind of a combination of that. So basically what I think we'll see is, him, if not door to door, him going from victim to victim and brutally killing them pissed off. There's that one shot, that one picture from the teaser that they showed last October. I think it was that Jamie Lee Curtis posted on her Instagram, where he grabs I think it's the nurse lady from the car, and it's like he's yanking her like that. So I think that kind of shows how vicious he's going to be. He's grabbing the car and maybe he's out for revenge. Maybe he's taking the car to, drive to Haddonfield Memorial, or, maybe he's running away from, Tommy and, the others that are out for justice because of what happened. So that should be interesting. I think, like I said, I think it'll kind of be a combination. Good question. Jeremy Armstrong, how you doing, Jeremy? Says, I heard Danielle Harris is not going to be in this movie, but I would love to see her make a return in Halloween Ends. Yeah, she's not going to be in this movie unless they've really, really kept that under wraps. Personally, I don't want to see her in Halloween Ends or Halloween Kills because, and don't get me wrong, I love Danielle Harris. Huge fan of Danielle Harris as an actress. I love that she, has embraced this franchise like probably none other. But it's not like we're seeing Jamie Lloyd from Halloween 4, or 5 or 6. It's not Jamie Lloyd anymore. So it'd just be Danielle Harris, either as Jamie's long lost daughter, which people have talked about, which even if that is the case, it's still not going to be the Jamie Lloyd we know. Or, she's just going to be some side character like a librarian or something. And, is that really worth it just for the quick Easter egg? That'll kind of take me out of the movie. But I totally get what you're saying. I love Danielle Harris. I know everyone, wants to see her again. But for me, save it for when the franchise is eventually rebooted, and maybe she can play someone in that. I just think the ship has kind of sailed with that. And they kind of made up, obviously they fucked her in Halloween 6. They totally fucked her. But I think they kind of made up for it with the Rob Zombie movies by giving her the part of Annie Brackett. And they actually made it so she had, a better arc, than the original Annie Brackett. So they kind of made it up to her there. But I hear you. I totally love Danielle Harris too. Anna D'Amato says, Nick, you have the best chats and subscribers. Hey, I agree. These subscribers, all you guys are awesome. I really appreciate you guys. It's so much fun talking to you guys. All right, let's see what's next here. Oops, sorry, guys. I lost my place for a second. Darth Vader, hey Darth, says, since the test screenings were mostly or all positive, how good do you think the film will be? Well, good question. You're right that the test screenings were mostly or all positive. I tried to avoid anything too much because I didn't really want to get stuck and accidentally read a spoiler from some jackass that wants to ruin the movie for everyone. But as far as being positive, I don't put too much stock in the test screenings because A, things can change. We know that the ending of Halloween 2018 changed, and B, we don't know what type of people were watching the test screenings. And what I mean by, excuse me, what I mean by that is it could have been Joe Blow off, excuse me, guys, sorry. It could have been Joe Blow off the street who's never seen a Halloween movie before that were at these test screenings. It could have been people like you and me who love Halloween, but we don't know. A lot of the shit that people would post on Reddit is just clickbait or people looking for attention. Some guy wrote a fake fucking script, for Christ's sake, about Halloween Kills, and pass it off like it was the real script. What is the point of that? All that time, but basically my point is, I don't put too much stock in the test screenings being positive, but I do put a little. I'd rather have them be positive than negative. So as much as I don't put stock in there, too much stock in there, I like I said, I'm glad that they were positive, and I hope it's positive for the right reasons. A lot of people that loved Halloween 2018, loved it, the parts that I didn't like, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has different tastes, but I just hope that people that had positive reactions had positive reactions for the right reasons. The stuff that we're talking about tonight, the stuff that we want to see. So yeah, that's a good question though. John Bruce says Ryan Turek gave us a heads up in 2018 on June 4th that the trailer was coming on June 8th. If we're getting one in 3 days, we would know. Yeah, you're right. Ryan did do that. John, I don't remember if there was that much buzz going on for the trailer in 2018 as there is now. If you go to like Blum or Turek's Twitter page, my God, they're being asked like 50 times a day when the trailer comes. If I were them, I would just mute the word trailer. And obviously things are a little bit different this time because of the current situation in the world. But you're right. We probably would have a clue by now. Let's see here. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Lost my place a second here. John Bruce says the 2018 was rated R light. Yeah, I can see what you're saying by that. Some of the kills were pretty brutal, but a lot of them were off screen, which I actually enjoyed. But yeah, I totally understand what you're seeing or what you're saying by that. Jake Blaster Productions. Hey, Jake, how you doing? Says, my problem with 2018 was there were too many callbacks to the movies they were supposed to be ignoring, like the bathroom scene and the Who gas station scene. Yeah, so I totally understand what you're saying. A lot of them seemed unnecessary. I think what they were doing with 2018 was trying to kind of, have a balance. They kind of wanted to have a little bit of a love letter to hardcore fans, so to speak, because a lot of fans, if you remember, were kind of pissed off, that they were ignoring all these sequels, and they were pissed off that Jamie Lee Curtis, that Laurie and Michael weren't siblings anymore. So I think they were kind of showing, that, hey, we know this franchise. Look at this bathroom scene like H2O. Look at these kids wearing the masks from Halloween 3, stuff like that. So I think they were trying to kind of show that, hey, we know this franchise, let's write kind of a love letter to the franchise and then still kind of go in our new direction. So I think that's what they were doing. But I agree, a lot of it was unnecessary and kind of a little pointless sometimes. When I saw the Halloween 3 masks, I was so focused on, hey, oh my God, Silver Shamrock masks, that I wasn't focused on, what else was going on in that scene, and I had to rewatch it. So yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. All right, let's keep moving. Master of Fear says, I like Halloween 1 and 2 better than 2018, but 2018 is probably the second best sequel in my opinion. Totally feel you there. Obviously, I like Halloween 1 better than almost any movie ever made. Halloween 2 is my favorite sequel, as it is most fans' favorite sequel. The reason for that for me is mostly Dean Cundy. Mostly has to do with Dean Cundy. It just feels like a continuation. And then I just love the creepy setting of the hospital. For me, I'd probably put 2018 somewhere in the middle. I'd probably put Halloween 4 ahead of it. The mask not included because I hate that mask. But yeah, it's definitely in the middle-ish upper half for me. NOE Lara says, have Michael go on a killing spree until he finds Allison and her family. Yeah, I think that's probably the direction that they will go. Like someone said earlier, Michael's going to be pissed off and out for revenge. So he's going to, probably take his anger out on unsuspecting victims as he's looking for, Laurie and Allison and Karen and all those people. So yeah, I agree with you there. Poppy 129 says, Nick, what are your thoughts on having Shape Stalk's Allison track to use a few more times in the movie? My thoughts on that? Big thumbs up. It's my favorite soundtrack. My favorite soundtrack in any Halloween movie since Halloween 2, 1981. It's probably in my top 5 Halloween soundtracks of all time. I'd really have to think about that. Maybe I should do a video on that sometime. But yeah, I love the Shape Stalks Allison. I actually listen to it sometimes when I'm working out at the gym, just because it really pumps me up. There's a extended version on YouTube that goes a little longer. That's pretty cool. Let's see here. NOE Lara says, how about they bring in Loomis' grandson by saying Michael dies tonight for a post-credit scene in Halloween Kills? I'm not a huge fan of post-credit scenes per se, but let's talk about the idea of bringing in Loomis's grandson, because that is an interesting idea. I think I talked about this before, but I believe, and I haven't seen it yet, but I believe there's a fan film that focuses on Loomis's grandson and an encounter with Michael on Halloween night. I don't hate the idea, just because it can give us some insight into Loomis, and, maybe Loomis, told kind of bedtime stories to his grandson about Michael. That might be kind of cool direction to go. It all depends on the execution. It all depends on the actor they get to play Loomis's grandson. He'd probably be in his 20s, 30s by now, maybe early 40s, depending on how old Loomis was in that first movie, who was probably in his late 50s, early 60s. But yeah, I don't hate the idea. I wouldn't do it in a post-credit scene because I'm not a huge fan of post-credit scenes. But I know people love those post-credit scenes, so maybe it'd be a good little Easter egg to get people more pumped. Let's see here. Jake Blaster Productions says, Nick, I think Tom Atkins is going to make a surprise appearance as a doctor in the hospital. That would be cool. It's funny. I just got done saying I don't want to see Danielle Harris in some cameo role. And I really agree with that. But, Tom Atkins, just as a random doctor in the hospital would be kind of funny, as long as it's not at a serious moment, maybe it could be something at the beginning. I don't know if they'd actually get Tom Atkins to do it. But, maybe, just Dr. calling a doctor, Dr. Chalice, I could totally see him doing that. So yeah, who doesn't love some Tom Atkins? The Shape 78 says, what do you think Lonnie Lamb's role will be? We know he is in the flashback. Is his role just for the flashback context, or do you think he could have a larger role with him and Tommy? Good question, Shape. I actually think he's going to have a larger role. I think we will see him at some point in the first third of the movie, maybe 20 minutes in, after they get through the possible exposition of, Laurie going to the hospital and Michael's escape. But I think somehow we will run into Lonnie Lamb. Obviously, we know his kid Cameron was dating Allison, and they were at the dance together. We know Ray mentioned Lonnie before in some of their, high antics or whatever, when they were stoned and shit like that. So we know he knows Ray. I think Tommy will probably run into him at some point after we're introduced to Tommy. And then we'll get the flashback. Lonnie will be talking about the flashback, or he'll be talking to Cameron about the flashback. Yeah, talking about what happened in 78, and they'll go to the flashback, and we'll get into his encounter with the Shape. And then I think, Lonnie is still going to come off as kind of an asshole. But I think he will kind of have a little bit of a redemption arc, just not too big, but a little bit of redemption arc. And then I think he will die saving Cameron's life, or maybe even Allison's life or something like that. That's kind of what I think. That's what I would do. You give a little bit of the past, with the flashback, which, like you said, we all know is coming. And then you sprinkle in that he's maybe not changed all the way. He's still kind of a little bit of a jerk. But then you have a little bit of a redemption arc, where he saves someone, whether it's Cameron or Allison or whatever. And then he gets a fucking brutal kill that I think we'll really enjoy. So that's kind of where I would go with it. I think that's kind of what they'll do. I could be way off on that, but that's just kind of what it seems to me. John Bruce says, I wouldn't think Michael would be angry in Kills. No indication he was angry that he got his fingers blasted off. Shot in the face, back, shot in the face. Yeah, I see your point there, John. And technically, he's got this blank, pale, emotionless face, so he technically doesn't feel emotion, according to what Loomis told us in 1978. And according to, our observations of him and, the way he stalks his prey without, motive or anything like that. So you bring up a good point. personally, I think if it's not anger, it'll be something as far as, just, now he's motivated. It might not be anger, but it'll be motivated to take out the one that got away again 40 years later. So you bring up a good point there as far as emotion. It might not be anger, but I think it'll be something. Let's see. NOE Lara says, how would you have made Halloween 5? Whew. Well, I would have done a lot of things. I'd have to think about that. The first thing I would do would be not have the gigantic Myers house mansion, not have Dominique, whatever, be the director. I probably wouldn't set it 1 year later, but I know they needed to crank it out. Mustafa Akkad, keep cranking them out. I wouldn't have Jamie be a mute. I wouldn't have clown cops. There's a lot of things I wouldn't do. But as far as what I would do, I would explore what Jamie did at the end of 4 a little more. I'd find a way to explore that. What that means, I'd have to think about it. I'd obviously still have Michael in the movie because that's your brand, that's your moneymaker. But I'd want to explore what Jamie did a little bit. Yeah, I'd have to think a little bit more about that, Lara, before I answer that. But that's kind of off the top of my head what I would do. It is what it is. Do you think Halloween will get delayed? I'm 50-50. A few weeks ago, I would have said probably not, but not now. I'm 50-50. Here's where I might lose some of you. If I had the choice to go VOD, video on demand, or have it be delayed a year to October 2021, I hate to say it. It pains me to say this, guys. It just pains me. But I'd want it to be delayed to 2021. And hear me out. Here's why. At my age, the first Halloween movie I saw in theaters was Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers in 1995. I was like 12 years old. And so I've seen every Halloween movie in the theaters after that. So I did not see the first 5 movies in the theater. After a little break, from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, and plus I didn't really care about the Rob Zombie films, but after a little break, I was so pumped to see Halloween 2018. It was a great theater experience. I don't want to lose that theater experience. That's what I'm going to remember, 15 years from now. I just think having that experience in the theater is something that I will remember. I remember last Halloween 2018. I also saw it on my birthday in October, the first night it came out. So maybe that's a factor too. But yeah, I want that theater experience. So whether it gets delayed or not, I still want it to come right to theaters, whether it's in 2020 or 2021. I'm crossing my goddamn fingers that it doesn't get delayed though. So don't take that I'm, begging for it to be delayed or anything like that. Jake Blaster Productions says, what character are you most excited to see return in this movie? I can't wait to see Brackett. Yeah, Brackett's a good one. Basically, God, there's so many good ones. As far as, let's touch on your Brackett for a moment here. What I'm excited to see from Brackett is a conversation with Lori, probably in the hospital, about Annie. Because we didn't see anything like that. Too much in 2018, if at all. We saw Judith Myers' gravestone, but we didn't really talk about Annie and Bob and Linda. So it'd be nice to see Brackett have a conversation with Lori, still pissed off and hoping for some type of revenge or anything like that. As far as what character I'm most excited to see, that's a tough one. One of two characters. Number one would be Marion Chambers, just because I want some insight into Loomis. She obviously knew Loomis. I'm assuming at least, that her and Loomis had some type of relationship, not a romantic relationship, but some type of relationship after 78. So I want to know what Loomis was able to say about 1978 and the events that happened that night. But the main character I'm probably most excited to see is Tommy. Tommy's the one that saw the boogeyman across the street. I am sure at some point this fucked up Tommy's life. He still could be successful and things like that. But I think the night 40 years ago in 1978 had a traumatic effect on Tommy. So he'd probably be the character I'm most excited to see from 1978 Return. T-Bone NYC 10 says, "What's up, Nick? Do you believe in 2018 the male reporter can possibly live through that vicious attack in the bathroom? Some believe he will come back from kills, or 4 kills. I personally do not." Good question. I've heard that too. That Aaron, the podcaster, returns because we don't see his body technically. I don't think so. And I could be way off on this. I mean, obviously, look, anything's possible with a movie. They cut Michael Myers' fucking head off and had him come back good as new, 3 years later. So anything's possible in Hollywood, movie magic. But I just don't think it's that believable that he would have survived that. It kind of, Michael basically, was throwing his head against it wasn't a brick wall, but a porcelain wall in a bathroom. So I think that would kind of take some of the believability of how vicious Michael is in this new timeline if you let him live. So they would have to really like the character, really like the actor to have him reappear. And what role could he possibly play? When he's at the hospital, so you can say, "Laurie, I was right," or Laurie could say, "You were right," or whatever. So I personally don't think they should have him come back. Let's see here. Luke Schaefer, sorry if I butchered that, Luke. Hey Nick, what do you think Marion Chambers' role will be? Do you think she'll have a larger role or a smaller role? I think it will be a little bit smaller, but I think when she's on screen, it will be large in nature. And what I mean by that is kind of what I touched on earlier, as far as having an insight into Loomis's thoughts after the events of 1978. Obviously we know that Loomis was preaching to anyone that would listen before Michael escaped in 78. This is evil. It is evil on 2 legs. Or I guess he didn't say that till Halloween 4, but it's evil. Don't underestimate it. The devil's eyes speech or monologue, whatever you want to call it. So I think Marion's role will be having some insight into Loomis. So that's what I'm excited for. So I don't think she's going to have a lot of screen time, but I think her screen time will matter. Jamie Duggins. Hey Jamie, how are you? Says, what do you want to see in the trailer when/if they release it this year? Well, here's what I want to see. I want to see some nuance. I want to see them hold back. I don't want to see a goddamn closet scene. And what I mean by that is not an actual closet scene, but basically a point in the movie that is very suspenseful. One of the few points in Halloween 2018 that is actually suspenseful, ruined. And I know that, it's not David Gordon Green's fault if that gets ruined. That's totally on the marketing department. But I guess, so I don't want to see, a scene like that get ruined. Obviously, they're going to show, Michael on his rampage or whatever. They'll have some quotes from Laurie. We'll probably see, more of Tommy with the baseball bat. What do I actually want to see? I want to see, a good score. I want to see, Michael kind of in the shadows, where, it just looks like it's probably a suspenseful moment. That's a good question. I got to think about that. I can't believe I haven't thought about that yet. I've been thinking so much about what I don't want to see that I haven't really thought about what I do want to see. So good question, Jamie. All right. Million IDs. Sorry if I butchered that. It says Aaron and Hawkins surviving seems way too contrived. I agree with you there. We just touched on Aaron, but people have also been talking about Hawkins surviving. I saw someone say that, because Hawkins obviously gets stabbed by Sartain and then ran the fuck over. But someone was saying that, based on the angle of the car, his legs only would have been ran over, so he still would have survived. It just seems far-fetched for me. And what's the point? You know, see, just like I said with Aaron, what? So he's in the hospital. You know, unless he's gonna be, you know, hooked up to some ventilator. It's not like his legs were just ran over. You know, he was also brutally stabbed, you know, and left there for God knows how long. So I agree. It would just kind of be pushing it for me. And why bring an actor like Will Patton back? Just, you know, just for that. Let's see. NOE Lara says, I want Tommy to be PTSD from 78 and freak out when someone says his name around him. And freak out when someone says his name around him. You mean say Michael's name? I think we will get some type of PTSD from Tommy, even if it's not super obvious from looking at him or talking to him. You know, we'll see. Maybe it'll be similar to Halloween 6, the Paul Rudd version, where, you know, he's just obsessed with Michael Myers and he's got newspaper clippings and all kinds of shit, and he's been studying him for years. Maybe it'll be something like that. But we'll see. It should be interesting. I think Anthony Michael Hall, as much as I personally didn't like the choice at first because I wanted a no name, I think if you're gonna choose an actor, I think he is a good actor to play because A, he's a good actor, and B, he looks like Tommy would look grown up. Let's see here. What else we got, guys? It is what it is. Says, what do you prefer, Halloween or Friday the 13th? Actually, I'm a big fan of the Friday the 13th franchise. A really big fan, actually. However, wait, right behind me would kind of answer your question. Obviously, I got a lot more Halloween stuff. You know, I can talk about Jason all day long too, and that franchise. But Halloween was my first love. You know, as a child, I was obsessed with it, and obviously it's continued into adulthood. So I would choose Halloween over Friday the 13th. Jake Blaster Production says, got to admit, I am excited for the flashback, but I don't want to mess up the continuity of the original Halloween. Yep, me too. Here's the deal with the flashback. So I am excited as well, you know, but it is a dangerous game they are playing with this flashback. I really, really hope they know what they're doing. You know, they're playing a game where if they screw it up, you know, it can take everything we knew about 78 and, you know, turn it on its head. You know, not literally, because we still have the original movie, but it's just a scary thought that, you know, they could totally screw something up where next time I'm watching Halloween 1978, you know, I'm thinking about, you know, the flashback scene, and I don't want that to happen. I want to just sit and enjoy 78 when I watch it for the 50th time of the year, you know? So yeah, I am also excited. I hope they know what they're doing. Right now I'm probably cautiously optimistic. So yeah, I hope they know what they're doing. Don't screw it up. Albert Shaw, my guy, how's it going, bud? Says Hawkins forevers. Oh, he's a big Hawkins fan, huh? Yeah, I actually like Hawkins a lot too. Like I said, I don't think that he should be back just because what role would he play? But I love Hawkins. Maybe it's just because I love Will Patton. You know, I've loved him. He's in a lot of stuff, but I always think of him from Remember the Titans as one of the coaches. Good character actor. You know, and he brought a little bit of a respect to the Haddonfield PD in 2018. I loved that he had a relationship with Lori. You know, like I said, once again, not a romantic relationship, but I love that him and Lori knew each other from the past. He was obviously the arresting officer. So maybe we'll see him just in the flashback and not as Will Patton's character, or not with Will Patton acting, but, you know, another actor from a long time ago. Let's see. Poppy 129 says, I love The Thing 82. I'm not sure on how this remake of The Thing is I am not sure on this new remake of The Thing in the works. I also love The Thing 1982. I wasn't a huge fan of the 2011 prequel. I always got to remind myself that that's a prequel. But I wasn't a huge fan of that. I think it's not as bad as people say it is. But like I said, I'm not a huge fan just because of the CGI. But yeah, I'm not excited for the remake of The Thing at all, because if I'm going to watch it, I'm going to turn in 1982 and see the awesome practical effects and stuff like that. Luke Schaffer, we'll say Schaffer. Luke, sorry if I butcher that. Let me know. Do you think the hospital is going to look similar to the hospital from H2 or completely different? Both, I think. I think they're going to throw some Easter eggs in there, and they're going to want it to look similar, but obviously modernize it, you know. One thing that I hear a lot of people complain about as far as the hospital from 82 is, you know, why is it so dark? Why is there only a few people on staff? You got to remember, Haddonfield's a small town. It's the middle of the goddamn night. You know, you had a bunch of nurses. Yeah, you only had one doctor who happened to be drunk and Dr. Mixter. But yeah, I think they're going to kind of want to pay homage to that. You know, that's obviously what they're doing with the logo. But I think it'll be somewhat similar, just obviously a more modernized version. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we see in the teaser that Jamie Lee Curtis posted last October, I think we saw a picture of Judith. Wow. Why did I call her Judith? Oh, Judy Greer. But we saw a picture of Judy Greer, Karen, sitting what looked like the hospital, probably in Laurie's room. So I think it'll just be a modernized version. All right. T-Bone NYC 10 says, will the intro for Kills have a pumpkin and a version of the classic score? That is a good question. I actually don't think they're going to have a pumpkin. What they're going to have, I don't know. But I think they kind of played in that sandbox, the intro sandbox of the pumpkin, so to speak, once a couple of years ago with 2018, and I think they'll come up with something different. How cool would it be if they kind of did their own version of Halloween 4's intro with, you know, the fall atmosphere and stuff like that? That'd be pretty cool. So yeah, that's a good question. As far as a version of the classic score, yeah, I think there will be a version of it. I'm sure Carpenter or Carpenters, I should say, John and Cody will kind of put their own little twist on it. So hopefully it's good, but obviously it's in good hands with the Carpenter boys. Let's see. Poppy 129. They shouldn't have killed Sartain so early in the series. Well, yes and no, are my thoughts on that. You know, based on where his arc went, obviously he had to die. You know, they kind of used him and his betrayal, so to speak, to get Michael to Laurie. And once they did that, you know, he kind of had to die, because, you know, what's he gonna do? Sit there watch Michael walk over to Laurie's house and sit there with a notebook taking notes, or on his recorder saying everything that's happening? You know, no. It kind of, his arc was kind of learning about how evil cannot be contained. So it was contained. He wanted to see it in the real environment. So he found out, you know, in the real environment, that evil isn't going to pick and choose their victims. So that's kind of the way I look at it. Like I said, he was an interesting character until that happened for me, but I just thought the whole twist was fucking stupid, to be honest. Jake Blaster Production says, how about seeing Loomis in the flashbacks? How do you think they will handle this? Well, I'm hoping that they don't do a CGI Loomis. And I know the technology is there. It's been done before, and, you know, a bunch of shit, you know, especially the Star Wars films with Christopher Lee. I'm probably not getting that right. But I know they've done it in the Star Wars films. From what I understand, it is to do that CGI technology with a person is super expensive. And what do we know about Blumhouse? They make cheap, affordable horror movies that turn a big profit. So I don't think they would do that. I could be wrong. I don't think they would do that, because that would take away from some other scenes they may have. I think we'll kind of see him at his side here, camera over here. We'll see his trench coat, maybe pointing his revolver. Yeah, so that's kind of the way I would do it. You know, we don't need to see his face. You had the voice actor that was able to imitate him pretty decently. So yeah, just get that guy back, have a side shot of a trench coat and a gun, and go from there. That's probably how I would do it. All right. Million ID says, we got to keep in mind this is an alternate reality / parallel universe type thing. It doesn't affect the original 78 version. Same way having Michael arrested in this alternate 78 doesn't affect it. I agree with you there in theory, but I just don't want, number one, I don't want to see Michael get arrested. He is the boogeyman, the shape, he's the person that, is there and gone. We don't need to see him humanized. They've already humanized him too much, in my opinion. As far as, not affecting the original 78 version, you're right in a sense that, the movie is still there. We're able to, just pop in the DVD or Blu-ray and, watch 78. I just don't want to be thinking about something that they do that I don't like in 78 that, let's say, for instance, the flashback is horrible. Okay. Let's say they totally fuck it up and it happens to be, right before Michael kills Linda and Bob while they're having sex, right? Let's say that's when Michael runs into Lonnie. Because there's only a few moments that it could happen. Maybe what I just said, maybe that moment in time when they're having sex, but even so, he's watching them make out on the couch. But let's just say for shits and giggles that it's at that moment. And we see him run into Lonnie, and that's just fucking terrible. Like, they just butcher the hell out of it. God, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that doesn't happen. But let's say it does. I don't want to be watching 78 and seeing the, seeing the scene with Bob and Linda and thinking, oh boy, and now in canon here, Michael is doing this horrible thing over there. I just don't want to think that. So you're right in a sense that it doesn't technically affect it, but it could affect it when I'm watching it. And that's just kind of what I don't want. That could just be me though. Like I said, this flashback, I don't think that they would do this flashback if they weren't confident that it was going to be good. But just remember, these are the same people that wanted to, change the original ending to Halloween 78. So that's kind of what gives me a little bit of a pause. Jamie Duggins, do you want to see the mask on the poster like they did with 2018 or save it until you see the movie? I personally want them to save it until we see the movie. I agree with you. If it's going to look cool, which I'm assuming it is because they got it so darn right in 2018. I'd rather have them save it for the movie. Do I think they will? Maybe. I'd say it's a 50-50 chance. They may, especially if it looks cool again, they may want that mask front and center again because that's the brand, right? The brand of Halloween. And that's just kind of the way things are nowadays. Subtlety seems to be gone. But I'd rather wait to see it until the movie. I think that'd be cooler. We'll see. It'd be cool. As far as a poster goes, they could do anything really. They could have a pumpkin on fire. That's kind of what I want. Do some cool version of a pumpkin on fire. But yeah, if I would agree with you there. I hope they don't show the mask and the poster. It is what it is, says Daniel Harris wants to come back to the Halloween franchise. What is your opinion on that? I touched on this a little bit earlier. My opinion is wait till it's rebooted again. Just because she's not coming back as Jamie Lloyd. Or if she does come back as Jamie Lloyd, a long lost daughter of Laurie, it's not going to be the same Jamie Lloyd we know. But I totally love Danielle Harris. She was amazing. She is amazing. They made it up. What happened to Halloween 6 is what I said earlier, that they kind of made up to her by giving her the role of Annie Brackett in the zombie movies. Popeye 129 says Peter Cushing. Yes, it was Peter Cushing. I don't know why I said Christopher Lee there. Thank you, Poppy. Robert Shaw says, bro, I'd love it if they had someone from Haddonfield Memorial with a Bud name tag. Oh God, yeah. And singing, we could have him sing Amazing Grace. I agree. I agree, Robert. That would be awesome. Who doesn't love Bud from Halloween 2? I saw something on Fright Rigs a couple of months ago where they had a Haddonfield Memorial zip up and it said Jimmy on it. I would love to. I just missed it. It sold out right away. But I would love to have one that said Bud on it. That'd be awesome. That'd be badass. I'd be wearing that thing around. All right. Luke Schaffer says, do you think the Myers house will only appear in flashbacks or in present day? Both is my thought process. But I think in Halloween Kills, what they're going to do is have it mostly appear in the flashback, and then maybe just a little touch of it in present day. My guess would be that would be whereas Michael is apprehended, and possibly the flashback, if the flashback takes place after he's shot 6 times. And then I think it could be some scene similar, not exactly the same, but similar to Halloween 2, the way it played out in Halloween 2, 1981, where the town people are, throwing rocks at the Myers house, and Hunt and Loomis show up. That's where we find out about Ben Tramer. And that's where Loomis gets the lighter. Loomis has another good speech there about Myers biding his time to Hunt. But I think it could be something similar to that, where either the cops are searching the house quickly, or, maybe Tommy and Lindsay and whoever else is in the possible vigilante group looking for Michael go there looking for him. And, maybe Tommy has a moment where, he's in the house with the baseball bat that we saw him with, and, he gets pissed off and he just starts smashing shit. That'd be kind of cool. So yeah, that's kind of what I think will happen. I'm hoping it plays a big role in present day and Halloween Ends is kind of what I'm hoping. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. So Million IDs says, I think Michael only bumps into Lonnie after Loomis shoots him and he's fleeing from the cops. I think that is the most logical explanation there. I think you may be right. There's just too many questions if it happens, after, Loomis after Michael starts stalking Annie. That we basically know, for the most part, there's some moments, but we basically know where Myers is most of the rest of the night. He's always in the background somewhere. We always see a shadow. So I think you're right that that's the most logical explanation of when the flashback would occur. Jake Blaster Productions says, which character won't make it through this movie? That is a good question. So besides all the stock characters, that are just there for a body count, as far as the characters we know, my guess would be Lonnie will die. If Lonnie doesn't die, Cameron will die. I think one of those two will die, and they'll save the other one for Halloween Ends. And then the big one, I think, will be Karen. I think she's going to have a moment where she dies, and this is just speculation, because she was kind of redeemed at the end a little bit of 2018. So I think it would make sense to now kind of kill her character. It would add more weight to, Halloween Ends, that Karen died. So Allison's mom died, Laurie's daughter died now. And, obviously, Ray died last movie, which hopefully we'll see them at least respond to that. But yeah, as far as Brackett goes, I think Brackett is 50-50 to survive. I think it'd be cool if he had a moment where he is, fighting Michael, maybe shooting him with a shotgun a bunch of times, and he has the upper hand. And then, he's like, this is for Annie, blah, blah, blah. And then Michael ends up getting the upper hand, and killing him. But maybe, Brackett buys enough time for all the other characters to escape. I think that'd be a good arc for Brackett. But we'll see what happens. Good question. Norbert Rice says, I don't want this movie to go the Scream 4 route. Jamie Lee Curtis at this point should get the axe. Raise the stakes while focusing on tension and atmosphere. Yeah, I actually thought Laurie should have died in 2018. I made a video on that and got a bunch of hate mail. But I agree with you that she should die. And if they do that, it will not be in Halloween Kills. I'm telling you right now. As much as I would like it to happen, I think it'd be cool. And it'd kind of be like, whoa, they went there. It's not going to happen in Halloween Kills. If it does happen, it'll happen in Halloween Ends. Why? Because marketability. Jamie Lee Curtis, whether you like it or not, brings kind of a cachet to the franchise. Not really for us, that are sitting here talking every day about Halloween Kills, but for the average moviegoer, a lot of people could be like, see a commercial or see the trailer and be like, "Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis is still in there." Did I just turn my mic off? Nope. Say, "Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis is still in there. We should go see that." So I think it makes sense from a business perspective to have Jamie Lee in Halloween Ends. But yeah, I totally agree with you there that I think it should happen. The Shape 78 says, how do you think the bus crash scene played out in H18? It is inferred that Sartain facilitated it to see Michael in the wild. Or do you think Michael just sees the opportunity? Man, I love that question. As much as I want to believe Michael sees the opportunity, I think that Sartain made it happen. I would love to not think that, but that's just kind of what I think happened. It'd be cool. I've heard a theory too that I actually enjoyed that that would have been better is if Lori accidentally caused the bus crash and she's responsible now for all these people getting killed. That'd be cool. I heard someone talking about that once. I always thought that was a cool idea. But yeah, I think Sartain caused it. But yeah, I agree. Well, I don't know what your opinion is, but I would think that Michael seizing the opportunity is actually a cooler way to go with that. Brian Swanson says, do you think Tommy will come out blazing saddles? Yes, I do. Based on what we saw in the teaser photo of Anthony Michael Hall with a shaved head and a baseball bat, looking kind of badass. And, you got Lindsay to the side of him. Yeah, I think he is going to kind of somehow find out that Michael came back and went after Lori again, and he's going to be out, trying to, he's going to be like, let's end this shit. We should have ended this, 40 years ago, or I should have ended this, while Michael was in custody or something like that. So yeah, I think Tommy will be kind of on a revenge trail there, because I think he was emotionally scarred from, that night. We saw the boogeyman across the street, you can't kill the boogeyman, and then Michael standing on the stairs. And that's his fucking house. He had to live in that house. Remember that. All this shit that happened at the Doyle house, we don't know how long it took or if they ever did that the Doyles moved. So Tommy would be reminded of this, for however long they lived there. Or maybe he went to a mental institution like after that, because he just lost it. But yeah, I think Tommy will be on a little bit of a revenge kick there. It is what it is. Says, would you like to see Michael Myers have some burns on his mask? And what's your opinion on Allison? As far as your first question, burns on the mask. Yeah, I think logically he has to have some degree of burns on the mask. I don't want it all burned off though. Just some charring maybe on one side would be cool. Scorch marks, something like that. I think that would be cool. My opinion on Allison is she has potential. We didn't really get to see too much of her story in Halloween 2018. We saw a little. Obviously, we saw her at the dance. We saw her relationship with her grandmother. And then she kind of ran away from Myers for 2 seconds before getting picked up or getting helped. But yeah, I think she has a lot of potential to be a good character, a good scream queen. We just haven't seen it yet. I like Andi Matichak. I think she's a good actress. And I think she has a lot of potential. So hopefully we get to see more of an arc from her. And yeah, I'm excited to see what they're going to do with her. Let's see. The Shape 78 again says, I wish they would show Phelps' garage mechanic kill in the flashback. It would be awesome to see Michael kill the mechanic, get the coveralls, and leave the body for Loomis to find. Yeah, that would be cool. Because if you remember, Loomis is on the payphone, and he's saying, he's coming because I know him. I'm his doctor. Doesn't he say something like, if you're not ready, it's your funeral or something like that. And then it slowly pans over and you see the mechanic and you see a little bit of a blood and the guy in his underwear or whatever. That would be cool. Michael, obviously, presumably, A, he doesn't have the mask yet, and B, he's probably still in his hospital gown. I would assume so. Otherwise, he's butt naked. But it would be cool just to kind of see how he did that, why, he kind of seized that opportunity, or, kind of chose that guy. Was it just because of the coveralls? Was it because Michael, needed something in that area? I agree. That would be cool. Luke Shapper says, do you think kills will be more violent and brutal than 2018, or maybe even the most brutal in the franchise? Yes, I do, for a couple of reasons. Number one, the title alone, Halloween Kills, you're not going to have a title like that if you're not going to up the ante a little bit. You know, based on the title, you know, Michael, it's going to be a brutal fucking movie. Do I think it'll be the most brutal in the franchise? Depends if you count the Rob Zombie films as in the franchise. I personally don't, even though I know it is. But if you discount them, then yes. If you include the zombie films, I don't think they're going to go to zombie level quite yet. But I think it'll definitely be, you know, the most brutal besides those zombie films. And even Andy Manichek said something along the lines of this will, oh man, I can't think of the word, but this will basically make you rethink how violence is. I'm paraphrasing that horribly, but she said something like that. So yeah, I think it will definitely be absolutely brutal. It is what it is. Says I think they will kill Jamie Lee Curtis off and make Allison take her place. What do you think on this? I think they should, but I don't think they will. Not yet. I think Jamie Lee Curtis will die in Halloween Ends. I'm hoping. But like I said earlier, there's too much money to be made in Halloween Ends from having Jamie Lee Curtis involved. So I don't think it'll happen, even though I think it would be a smart narrative, creative decision. It's not really a smart marketing and business decision. How do you guys think this movie will end? Anyone have any theories? What about Michael escaping? Anyone have any interesting theories besides, you know, the obvious of, you know, killing firefighters and stuff like that? Any other characters you guys are excited to see besides the ones we've mentioned? You know, we've talked about Tommy, we've talked about Brackett, we've talked about Marion Chambers, we touched on Loomis. So what are your guys' thoughts on characters and you know, how the movie will end? Let's see what we got here. John Bruce says, I love AMH, Anthony Michael Hall, I'm assuming that is. As a child of the 80s, he was awesome. Yeah, how can you not love Anthony Michael Hall? You know, from Breakfast Club to 16 Candles, you know, everything. I loved him in that. That's him in the Vacation movies, right? Yeah, him in the original Vacation movie. Yeah, he was great. And then recently, he was in that one, the Dead Zone show on USA, that TV series. I never watched it, but I always remember the commercials. So yeah. John Bruce says, I have a great idea for the ending. Let's hear it, John. Jake Blaster Productions says, in the 2018 film, the scene where Laurie is sitting in the car when she screams, they should have flashed back to 78 when Michael was crossing across the street chasing Laurie. Yeah, that I agree with that. That would have been a good time for it, you know, because she's she's obviously in an emotional place at that moment, you know, crying and drunk and screaming. So, you know, it could be, you know, setting things off in her mind, you know, whether it's, you know, the scene you mentioned when Michael's crossing the street, you know, maybe, you know, Michael looking up on the stairs from her after she falls over the balcony, you know, maybe, you know, the closet scene or, you know, anything like that. I agree with you. That would have been a good moment to have it. Jamie Duggan says, what if Halloween Kills ends on a cliffhanger? I think, so here's my thoughts on this. I think it has to end on a cliffhanger based on the fact, you know, that there's another movie after this, and it's presumably taking place on the exact same night too. But where I'm thrown a little bit is Jason Blum said, this is a couple months ago now, Jason Blum said it absolutely does not end on a cliffhanger. It feels like a complete story. So I don't really know how that's possible. You know, maybe him saying that is, you know, him, you know, mentioning, you know, that, or maybe what he means by that, I guess I should say is, you know, that, you know, maybe they think they defeat Michael and he's got to regroup or something like that. And that's not really a cliffhanger. So you think the night's over, but it's not. But personally, I agree with you. Based on the fact that the other movie is going to take place on the same night. And it's good marketing, to have a cliffhanger for us to be talking another year about, Karen being killed at the end, or Brackett being killed at the end, or whatever the cliffhanger would be. I just think it would make sense. So I'm with you on that. Let's see. Million Ida says it's going to end on a cliffhanger. We're going to be good and absorbed into a story, and it's just going to end abrupt like Matrix 2 did. Yeah. Yeah, that did end abruptly, didn't it? It could. Like I said, I just don't know with what Blum said, a couple months ago, I think it was, about it not ending on a cliffhanger. But I totally agree with you guys. It theoretically should end on a cliffhanger. I don't know why it wouldn't, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. So, 1 second. All right, let's see what else we got. John says he will tell me his idea for the ending on the next video. All right, sounds good, John. Sounds good. All right, we're gonna go for about 10 more minutes, guys. As far as what do you guys think this film will be better than 2018? For me, I think it will be. And basically, the reason for that is that now David Gordon Green and Danny McBride, to an extent, are making a sequel to their own movie, and they're not kind of confined, for lack of a better term, by 1978, even though they technically still are a little bit. But I think having the experience of 2018, having, from everything I've seen, they actually listen to what the fans say they want. And it doesn't mean they should give us everything we want. That's absurd. Some people have some stupid ass ideas. But from everything I've seen, they actually, they care. We can say what we want about 2018. We can talk about all our issues, but they do seem to care about the franchise, which is more than you can say about a lot of the directors. Dominique, whatever his name is, from Halloween 5 is the greatest example. But yeah, so I think that, this movie has a potential to be better than 2018, mostly because of the experience that David Gordon Green and Danny McBride have. Now they've been in the Halloween universe. They've made a movie already in this franchise. So yeah, that's just my personal opinion on why it'll be better. Embalmist, how you doing? Says Halloween 1978 and 1981 are life for me. For me too. Obviously, you can look behind. Wrong way. Look behind me. I got those two posters. When it comes to the Halloween franchise, obviously the original I watch, more than anything. But Halloween 2 is right up there for me, especially in October. Halloween and Halloween 2 are just such a great double feature to watch back to back, even though, there's some issues with continuity as far as, the way Michael moves and, all of a sudden, there's more blood and things like that. But yeah, I can't get enough of those films either. So thanks for showing up. Appreciate it. Jamie Dugan says, or what if Kills ends with the very emotional scene? That would be good. Yeah, I could totally see that. For instance, let's say Karen gets killed. Let's say Michael kills Karen. She sacrifices herself to save Allison and or Laurie. And then, it ends with kind of an emotional, touching scene of them, dealing with the fact that Karen died. So yeah, that would be a way that it would end on a cliffhanger, but not really a cliffhanger. So yeah. Entertainment Wizard says ditching 81 from the timeline was a mistake. I agree with you there. The problem is they didn't want to make Michael and Laurie siblings again. So they kind of, by deciding that, they kind of wrote themselves into a corner, so to speak. And what I mean by that is, they couldn't have 81 be in the timeline and have them not be siblings. Even though we didn't see Laurie's reaction, to finding that out, they couldn't really do that. But I agree with you because, they get rid of the brother-sister angle, yet Michael and Laurie still end up, facing off. What's the fucking point? If you're getting rid of the brother-sister angle, why even have Laurie in the movie? You could have went any other directions if you're going to ditch that. I also think it would have been more realistic for the character of Laurie. I think having 81 in there, having Halloween 2 1981 in there, I think it would have been a lot more realistic on the way Laurie is. She's kind of like a, Linda Hamilton, just, secluding herself, preparing for Michael's return. What happened in the 78 movie was obviously very traumatic. I'm not taking that away. But could you imagine? I just think it'd be more realistic. Could you imagine having that happen and on the same night having the massacre at the hospital happening? Michael keeps coming. He's shot. He keeps coming. He keeps coming. He keeps coming. That would make me, lock my doors and be secluded more like Laurie was in 2018. So I agree with you. I think getting rid of 81 was a mistake. But like I said, they kind of wrote themselves into a corner with the brother-sister angle. Luke Schaffer says, do you think Rob Zombie will make a sequel to his Halloween 2? No, I think that ship has sailed. If it was going to happen, I know there was actually talks about it. I think there was talks, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was talks of it being in 3D. That came out in 2009, Halloween 2. So yeah, I know there was talks about it, but it just fizzled. And I think not only has Rob Zombie moved on, but the franchise as a whole has moved on. So I don't think we'll get a sequel to that. Let's see. It is what it is. How do you think Michael escaped the house while in flames? Well, first of all, I've said this before. I hope they do not show it, because I think it's scarier not seeing it. That, he's locked in the basement. The house is on fucking fire. There's nowhere to go. And, then we see Laurie's reaction to, holy shit, he escaped? How did that happen? There was no way out. I just think that adds to the mystique of the boogeyman. But I'm a realist, and seeing Michael Myers in a burning house killing firefighters is a goddamn gold mine for this movie as far as looking cool and, kind of marketing the film. So I think they'll show it. And I basically think that, like most people, I think that a firefighter will somehow come down there and Michael, kill him and then steal his halogen bar, which we saw. You can kind of see him holding the bar. I think that's what it's called, a halogen bar. You can kind of see him holding the bar in one of the pictures of him standing outside the burning house. So yeah, I think that's the most logical thing that will happen, will be him killing firefighters that are putting out the fire. Million ID says Halloween 4 tried to pick up from 1981 already, and it didn't work for several reasons. I guess I'd want you to elaborate why it didn't work. I guess the reasons. So, you make a point that it didn't work. And I guess off the top of my head, the few things that I can think of why it didn't work, besides, the mask being horrible, were, something like Michael's eyes being shot out and now he can see again and things like that. But yeah, I mentioned the problems with Laurie's character in Halloween 2018, and being so, I hate to say, I keep saying Linda Hamilton, but being so Linda Hamilton-like, but there'd obviously be other issues too, with continuing from 81. So I get like I said, I get why they picked up in 78, or picked up from just 78. But either way has issues. So yeah, I totally hear you there. Let's see. Marcus Hicks. Hey, Marcus says, what do you think the runtime of Halloween Kills will be? Wouldn't it be awesome if it was 2.5 hours? Well, I think if there was no Halloween Ends, I think we'd get a 2.5 hour movie. I think because there is another movie that is also taking place on the same night, I think it'll be probably, if not 90 minutes like normal movies used to be, maybe 105 minutes. The problem they would run into by making it too short would be there's like all these returning characters. We have Tommy, we have Lindsay, we have Marion, we have Brackett, we have Lonnie. So that you can't just have these characters return and just be like, hey, Tommy, boom, and then let's go get Michael. You got to give a little bit of a backstory to how they're involved now in this new timeline, what they've been through, why they are the way they are. So everyone's got to have a little bit of time, and that makes the movie very busy by fleshing them out a little bit. So it probably will, you know, it maybe it will be 2 hours, just based on that. Personally, I probably wouldn't go over 105 minutes, but I could see it going up to 2 hours. Let's see. Million ID says the idea was to make Michael random again. So the sibling angle had to go. That's why in 2018 he isn't after her. She's the real Loomis now. You're right. That was the idea. And like I said, that's why there would be a problem with Halloween. Or sorry, keeping Halloween 2 1981. That would be the problem. So yeah, I totally hear what you're saying. That's why they just made that decision to just kind of cut it off after Halloween 1978 and just go straight to a new timeline. So you're right. You can't have it both ways. Maybe it's just because I'm a big fan of Halloween 2, and Lori never even got a reaction to Michael being her sister, at least that we saw, that I thought it would be cool to have Halloween 1981 or Halloween 2 1981 in there. But you're right. There's a lot of issues with that as well. All right. So, guys, that is going to be it for me today. I wanted to thank everyone for joining this chat. This is a great discussion. You guys are awesome. Feel free to, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because we're going to be talking a lot more Halloween kills in the near future. Couple of things. I'm not going to be live next Tuesday because I'm going to Vegas. COVID be damned. I know it doesn't look good, but I don't care. I got a free trip to Vegas. So I'm not going to be live next Tuesday. But I am going to start putting out a lot more videos, a lot more standalone videos too. Just have been busy with some shit going on. But yeah, thank you guys all for joining the chat. I had a lot of fun. You guys are the best. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you guys soon.